Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing the biggest dents in my fragrance collection. Out of the hundreds of fragrances you see on the shelves behind me, these are the ones that I've gotten the most use out of, mainly because they've been in my collection the longest. But I am so happy to be partnering with Joma Shop for today's video. If you are not familiar with Joma Shop, they're an online retailer that carries an incredible selection of niche designer fragrances, always at a discount. Guaranteed authentic, but they are currently running a huge summer sale, up to 75% off the prices. I was scrolling through their Christmas and July selection earlier today, and they have some incredible brands. A lot of fragrances that have been on my wish list, so I might need to cross them off and take advantage. The deals are just so good, and I was able to restock two of my husband's favorite fragrances. He is a Creed Aventus guy. He loves it. He's always wearing it, and I really love Creed Aventus on him as well. This is such an incredible men's fragrance. I do try to encourage him to branch out, try other things. He has a pretty big collection at this point, but he is a man who knows what he likes, and that is Aventus. This is actually an older bottle. This is the 10th anniversary bottle, and this size usually retails for $495, but it's currently marked down to $260 during the Joma Shop sale. As you can see, it's brand new, comes wrapped in the box with the cellophane, so original packaging, like new, and just a really great deal. And considering how quickly he goes through his fragrances, he's almost done with this one. It is absolutely worth it. Last year, he also finished a Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait. So he's really the one making a lot of dents and just going through his fragrances pretty quickly. I also found his Yves Saint Laurent Y. They have a great selection of designer fragrances as well. This full-size bottle usually retails for $150, and it's currently marked down to $90. Amazing savings. To browse the Joma Shop summer sale and see all of the deep discounts, all of the different brands they carry, all you have to do is tap on the product links that will pop up on your screen. You'll see them throughout the video because I'm linking all of my favorites. I'm starting with two of my personal favorites from Creed. This is Aventus for Her and Love in White for Summer. Both of these have been in my collection for a long time. You've heard me talk about these for years. And while I know these dents aren't going to be nearly as satisfying as some people would like, I think you can tell by the bottle, the label, the way they're sort of chipped and deteriorating in certain places, that these are very well-loved fragrances. Not that long ago, Aventus for Her would have been on my top 10 for life list. It was that girl. I used to say this was such a confidence-boosting, incredible fragrance. And now I don't even remember the last time I wore this out, or sprayed it for that matter. It's bright, it's fresh, it's very citrusy. It has that burst, and then there's a bit of a woody dry down. I still appreciate it. I still think it's beautiful. Beast mode. This is truly the perfect feminine version of Aventus for him. But it's just not really my style anymore. I find myself really leaning into princess perfumes, things that are a little bit sweet, a little bit fruity, dainty, demure. It's a little bit too masculine for my tastes. Still really gorgeous. I appreciate it. I still love this fragrance, and I think it still holds significance within my fragrance collection just because it was one of my very first luxury niche fragrances. But you know, sometimes when you haven't worn one of your old favorite fragrances in a long time and you revisit it, and it's like, wow, I remember why I love it so much. You get the nostalgia, the throwback, and you sort of fall in love with the fragrance again. I don't really get that feeling with this fragrance. I feel like I've sort of moved past it taste-wise. It's such an icon. I feel like I always have to have Aventus for Her in my collection, and at the rate I'm going through fragrances, I probably will. At one point, I was getting a lot of use out of it, obviously, by the very small but significant dent you can see in the bottle. And now I just don't know how much bigger this dent is really going to get. Love in White for Summer, on the other hand, is a totally different story. I still absolutely adore this fragrance. It smells incredible. It's fresh, it's feminine. It still has a little bit of a citrus kick at the beginning, but it has apple, musk, some woody notes in the dry down. It's just so luscious and fruity. It reminds me of vacation. It's perfect for Miami. It's a bit aquatic, very clean, fresh, just a perfect everyday fragrance for warmer weather. I don't get as much use out of this as I used to simply because my collection has grown at such an outrageous rate. And I'm also constantly testing new fragrances. You see that I have hundreds of fragrances on the shelf, but what you don't see are the hundreds, and I wouldn't even want to count them, maybe potentially thousands of little samples, little travel sprays that I have just in boxes down on the floor of fragrances that I'm constantly going through to try. But when I think of my go-to favorite summer fragrances, this is one that comes to mind. I do grab this regularly. I can remember in recent times wearing this fragrance, grabbing it, enjoying it. It's on the more casual side, but still could be special occasion. I like how versatile and fluid it is. It's just sort of always appropriate. You always smell really good. It's very elegant, sophisticated, classy. Will never go out of style. I have two Parfums de Marly fragrances with pretty nice dents, Oriana and Delina La Rose. I remember when this first launched, I thought it was just the most incredible thing. And it is an outstanding fragrance for spring, for summer. It's very bright, sparkling, like champagne fairy dust. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, it fell into flavor of the week territory where I was wearing this constantly at first, and then something else came out or something new launched, maybe the seasons changed, my taste changed, and I just moved on to something else pretty quickly, and then I just never really revisited Delina La Rose. This is one of those fragrances that I rediscover every once in a while. I go back, I smell it, I try it, I fall in love with it again, I might use it a handful of times, and then I move on to something else. It's sweet, it has pear, it's luscious, it's aquatic. The perfect luxurious shampoo, clean, fresh, fruity floral fragrance. It's stunning. It's a little bit sweet. Sweeter than I remember. Because again, it's been a while since the last time I wore this fragrance out in real life. But it's so feminine and flirty. It's a very cute fragrance. It is so my style. I don't really know what it would take for me to fall in love with this again and really start wearing it out. Maybe this video is all I needed, because as I'm smelling the blotter card, I'm like, why don't I wear this fragrance more? It's outstanding, 10 out of 10. I have no complaints about it. I think we will see a much bigger dent on this fragrance by the end of the year. Ooh, it's so good. Oriana was a love at first sniff, and I have continued to wear it ever since. This just launched maybe 2 years ago. I don't know. Time is such a blur these days, but it's only been in my collection for a few years as soon as it launched, but I wear this pretty regularly. Now, what does that mean? Probably not even once a week, but at least a handful of times a month. I grabbed this fragrance. I wore this out to, I think, an event with a friend just the other day. So she was never just flavor of the week. This was a true love, slow burn relationship. I find myself constantly grabbing Oriana, maybe because the bright bottle and the position where it is on the shelf, but if I'm ever running out the door and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to wear, Oriana is just that easy grab. I know I'm going to like it. I know it's always appropriate. It just smells so happy. It instantly boosts my mood. So this is one that I'm always wearing, and the dent is a little bit bigger than Delina. You can barely see, I'm not sure if it's going to show up on camera, but I can see the liquid is right about here. I've used a little more Oriana than I have Delina La Rose. And since this is one that I'm constantly wearing, I know this dent is just going to get bigger and bigger. I don't even have to think twice about it. It's one of those just instant grabs. As soon as I see it on the shelf, I just spritz this on. In an effort to start throwing some of my fragrances in the empties bin, I've started using up some of my little travel sprays and rollerballs when I'm at home, even when I'm not traveling. And I've managed to make a very significant dent in a few of them. Kayali Vanilla 28, I have taken this on trips, but I also just spritz this around anytime. And then the Initio Absolute Aphrodisiac. This is definitely on my wish list. As soon as I finish this, I feel like this is so good. It's full bottle worthy. I just checked Joma Shop because I wasn't sure if they carried this one. I saw Initio Addictive Vibration. That is one of the best fragrances for summer. I didn't see Absolute Aphrodisiac just yet, but I'm gonna keep checking because they always add new inventory. When I do purchase this, I'll make sure I get a good deal on it, but this is one of the most incredible vanilla fragrances. It's Initio, so it's very intense. I would say this is a beast mode date night fragrance. It's creamy vanilla and musk, a little bit gourmand. It almost smells like baked goods, but it is just romantic, very seductive. I always get a lot of compliments too whenever I wear this fragrance. I think mostly because it's just so strong and the projection and the longevity is so good. Highly recommend this one, and I'm already about halfway through my travel size. I've actually received quite a few compliments wearing the Kayali Vanilla 28 as well. I remember taking this on a trip specifically to a Sephora Squad event. This was a while ago. And I remember being in a group of friends and everyone was just standing around together. I think we were going out to dinner after the event. And one of my friends who was on Sephora Squad said, "You smell so amazing." And I think the conversation turned really quickly, so I never got a chance to tell her what I was wearing. I felt like I was gatekeeping from her, but it was nice coming from a fellow beauty fragrance enthusiast lover, someone who could truly appreciate the fragrance and receive a compliment. But even when I'm not traveling, if I'm just at home, I love spritzing my Vanilla 28. I think this is one of the best Kayali fragrances. And I never feel like I have to layer it with something else. I know some people like to get really complex and play fragrance chemist with their Kayali fragrances, but I think it's just nice on its own. It's very straightforward vanilla, but it's beautiful. And then this is Sun Saint from Penrose. I love this fragrance. It is such a beautiful summer in a bottle type of scent. I am so sad. When I first got this, I loved it, talked about it all the time. I used most of it, but then I just got sidetracked. It got swept to the back of a drawer or the bottom of the shelf, and I stopped using it because I moved on to so many different other things. I sprayed this right before I sat down to film, and it has definitely turned. It has been a few years. This is one of my older travel sprays, but I'm so sad because I loved it and I never got the opportunity to use it all. So I'm not even going to spray this. I probably need to declutter it, but I do have a nice significant dent in it. I hate to see that happen with any fragrances, especially ones that I truly loved and I just held on to them too long. And that's really the risk, I guess, of building up a huge fragrance collection. This is Lancome Idole, the original. I also have Idole Nectar in my collection, a beautiful fragrance. This has a very nice dent, as you can see. It might be a little bit misleading since the bottle is flat, but I've used quite a bit of this fragrance, and the reason is that I usually wear this before bed. So this is a fragrance that I keep on my nightstand. I don't spray it every single night. It just sort of depends. I spray it most nights, and even still, I've barely made a dent. And this is the one fragrance out of all of them that I wear very regularly. But you know, if my husband goes to bed before me, the last thing I want to do is spritz a bunch of fragrance before I get into bed because I don't want to wake him up. I know if that happened to me, I would wake up furious. So if I go to bed first, if I'm sort of going through my entire routine, I'll do the red LED mask, my lip mask, of course, full 10-step skincare routine, you know, the works. Then I'll do a few spritzes of my fragrance and then I get into bed, and it just sort of helps to relax me. I can start taking deeper breaths. My heart rate starts to go down. It just sort of makes me feel like, okay, the day is over. I'm getting into bed. I'm going to dream of beautiful gardens with bunnies hopping and fresh flowers everywhere. This is going to give you sweet dreams. And it just goes to show how difficult it is to get a really huge dent because I use it on most nights and I still have more than half of this bottle, and it's been upstairs in the bedroom for probably a year at this point, a very long time. It takes me a long time to go through fragrance. I don't know if I've ever really had that many big dents in my collection. I don't know what people are doing with their fragrance to go through it so quickly. This bottle is a little misleading as well. This is Ocean de Joie from Armani, one of my favorite designer fragrances. There's a lot of glass down here at the bottom, so even though I've hit this point right here, you really have to judge from the bottom of the fragrance. There was a nice period when I was using this very regularly. It's been a while since I've worn this out. I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but I just have too many options. I don't use any of my fragrances that regularly to get a big dent in them now. It's a fruity floral, it's fresh, it's aquatic, it has pear, it's a little musky, it's just very pleasant. It's one of those perfect everyday running errands, running to the gym, running to the office, always appropriate type of fragrances where you just smell really clean. This is one of those clean, fresh, aquatic fragrances. You know what it was? I think I discovered Si Passione from Armani, and then I kind of made the switch. So now whenever I'm grabbing an Armani fragrance, I almost exclusively grab Armani Si Passione because it smells so nice. It's a little bit more elevated than this. I would say Ocean de Joie is a bit more casual, and the Si Passione is a bit more elevated. So I could still wear that one every day, but it's a little bit more special occasion, weekends. You know, when you're getting dressed up and you're going out on the weekends, that's when you're really going to grab your fragrance and spritz with abandon. This is another one of my favorite fragrances of my entire fragrance collection, and it is finally starting to get the dent that it deserves. It's Dama Bianca from Zerof. It's a baby dent. I know it's very small, but I can see I'm starting to make progress on this bottle. This is one of my fragrance goals for the year, is to make a greater dent in Dama Bianca because it's one of my favorites. I know I'm guilty of this. I'm sure you are as well, where you have your favorites and you just save them for special occasions. And how often do we really get super dressed up? I mean, I don't even really go out every single weekend. Maybe I'll go out in the evening one weekend and then during the day the next. So I just don't have that many opportunities to wear my special occasion fragrances if I'm truly saving them for special occasions. So I'm trying to get out of that bad habit and use up all of my favorites. Favorites first has been my motto of the year. So I'm hopefully going to have a much bigger dent in Dama Bianca. I love this fragrance and it's so perfect for really any time. I do think it's bridal, I do think it's special occasion, but it's not so intense that you would only wear it for a really bold occasion. It's so summery, it's tropical, it's so beautiful for Miami. This could easily be an everyday signature scent, and it deserves to be. It's so good. I would hate to let this just sit on the shelf and not get use out of it. And these are the final two fragrances I'm going to talk about today. This is one of my most expensive fragrances, and this is one of my least expensive fragrances, but I would say these are probably my two biggest dents. This I've had for a long time. This is Maison Francis Kurkdjian Baccarat Rouge 540. The icon that she is, still an incredible fragrance, and it is still a signature scent, a queen perfume. It's intoxicating, delicious. It makes my mouth water. It is such an addicting fragrance. When I first discovered this fragrance, it was one of a kind. I remember stopping somebody as they were walking through the mall, hunting them down to ask, what is that fragrance that you're wearing? I know I had smelled it before and I just needed to know. And she told me what it was. I immediately purchased it and never looked back. And for a while, I was wearing this every single time I left the house. Now I never leave the house and not smell Baccarat Rouge 540. This has got to be the fragrance in Miami. I swear, every time I go out in public, whether it's the mall, an event, wherever I am, somebody is wearing Baccarat Rouge 540 because it's outstanding. I know a lot of people feel like it's run its course, it's been overdone. There are so many other options, so many other similar fragrances out there now that maybe its time in the sun has ended. I don't feel that way. I still feel like this is a special fragrance. I'll never get sick of it. I don't care if everybody's wearing it or everybody knows about it. I definitely don't wear it as often anymore. I sort of go through phases with this fragrance. A lot of times if I'm getting really dressed up and going out, I'll wear Greenwich Village from Bond Number 9 or Rouge Smoking from BDK or Rihanna. Dama Bianca, I pull out, those best of the best heavy hitter fragrances. Occasionally, I will throw Baccarat in the mix just because I love it so much and I kind of want to revisit. And I'm always really impressed. This fragrance has incredible longevity. It is one of my most complimented fragrances, one of the longest lasting fragrances. I can smell this on me for hours. It lingers on my clothing. Other people can smell it. So I just think performance-wise, it's incredible, just an outstanding fragrance. She's an icon. Everybody knows about Baccarat. And finally, we have Miss Ariana Grande. One of these things is not like the others. I know I have so many incredible luxury niche fragrances that it probably seems sort of funny that I would pick up this relatively cheap fragrance, but I just love it. This is Thank You Next from Ariana Grande. It smells sweet. It's a cheapie, it's easy to wear, and I usually throw this on when I'm running to Pilates, which I go a couple times a week. And if I'm just running out the door and I'm really just going to Pilates, maybe I'm gonna get coffee or juice or meet up with a friend, something like that, just a casual outing, but I still wanna smell good. I'm wearing my cute little set so I can get motivated for the workout. Then I like to spritz this on, and it just smells like a toasted coconut macaroon cookie. I don't put that much thought behind it. It's one of those grab and go, easy breezy, get out the door. My husband always compliments this fragrance. It does smell really good, and it lasts a really long time as well. It's a little bit tropical, but it's more like toasted coconut in a bakery. I would say it's that style of coconut. It's not really a beachy coconut sandalwood. Even though it has great projection, performance, people are gonna smell you whenever you wear this. The actual notes are so light that it does smell just sort of light and airy. It's not a heavy fragrance at all. I don't think there are any like base notes in this fragrance. It's all just sparkly cupcakes. I don't usually wear body sprays. Every once in a while, I'll spritz on a body mist, like maybe the Sol de Janeiro. I know some people really like a body mist. Typically, I'll just wear a fragrance like this instead. So that's part of why I get so much use out of this, I think, is because it's my replacement or my equivalent to a body spray. So anywhere that you would wear just a plain body mist, that's when I'm wearing this. And I love it so much. I don't care. I will not apologize for loving this Ariana Grande fragrance. It smells divine. But that completes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing my little baby Dents. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, questions down below. I am so curious. What fragrance in your collection has the biggest dent currently? Or do you have a favorite fragrance that you're just constantly having to restock because you go through it so quickly? Let me know down below in the comments section. We'll keep the conversation going there. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned, everything on my face. All of these fragrances that are part of the big Joma Shop summer sale will be linked directly to this video so you can shop. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.